Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. 2018 Fireballs here, back with another MLB 9 innings 25 video. Today's video is going to be a guide video on how to train for 5-tool player. A lot of you guys have requested this in the past several months, and here I am today, ready to explain how to train for 5-tool player. And in this video, I'm going to go over 4 different cards that I have. I'm on my Pirates team right now, and it is the team that I have the most 5-tool player trains on. So I'm going to go over a great example, a good example, a catcher example, and a bad example of 5-tool player. And first off, let's just hop straight into it here. What is 5-tool player? I have my Adam Frazier card here with the skill, and the skill description says this: increases all stats in proportion to the skill level based on the stat with the lowest sum of basic stat, grade increase, and development. What on earth does that mean? All right, guys, so what on earth are these terms here with in the green highlights? So stat with the lowest sum of basic stat. What is basic stat? First off, basic stat is what the basic stat is here on any given card. This can apply to a normal card, this can apply to a supreme, a signature, a legend, a vintage, a prime, you name it. Any card will always have basic stats. And on Adam Frazier here, you can see his basic stats are 72 contact, 70 power, 69 eye, 65 speed, and 76 field. Those are the basic stats. Now, what's the next thing on this? After basic stat, we have grade increase. All right, let's take a look at what grade increase is. So we have the sum of basic stat and now grade increase. What is grade increase? Grade increase is right above basic stat. As you can see in this Adam Frazier in orange, the row of all orange numbers is the grade increase for any given card. This will apply to all given cards as well, any normal card, legend, etc. Now on Adam Frazier here, his grade increase, as you guys see in the top right here, is a total of plus 69. If you look across the grade increase to the total grade increase, it is plus 69. His max grade increase can get up to 75. On primes, max grade increase can get up to 90 if you upgrade them to black diamond. So the grade increase is 15 to contact on this card, 13 power, 13 eye, 11 to speed, and 17 to field. All right, now that we know what basic stats are and grade increase is, what's the final thing here? You have development. All right, and when we add the basic stat, grade increase, and development, we can get bonuses for 5-tool. But last but not least, let's look at what development is. Right above the grade increase, there's the next category. That is development. Pretty self-explanatory. And the total development on any given card besides Supremes will always be up to 57. If you get a normal card, a legend card, a vintage, a prime, or a signature, the total amount of points you can give to that type of card is up to level 20, as you guys can see on Adam Frazier here, plus 57. That is the max, except for Supremes. Supremes can get up to level 30. I don't know the exact total amount of points you can get on that. I've never trained a card to level 30 or had a Supreme card personally, but it's higher than 57. But the Supremes are the only special case in this scenario. So I hope that makes sense. We have our 3 categories here. So now let's read this again. 5-tool player increases all stats in proportion to the skill level based on the stat with the lowest sum of basic stat, grade increase, and development. So what is it talking about with the lowest sum? So when you look at all of these things, development, grade increase, and basic stats, you can take each individual category, contact for example, you can look at the basic stats, the grade increase, and the development. If I add up his contact, basic stat with its grade increase and a development, I get a total of 72 plus 15, which would be, simple math here is failing me, 87. And then 87 plus 10 would be 97. So if I add it all together, 72 plus 15 is 87, 15 plus 10 is 97. That is the total amount between the basic stat, the grade increase, and the development. If I take the power, for example, I can add 70, which is his power basic stat, plus 13, that's 83, plus 10, that is 93. So both his contact and his power add up to 93 individually, and you can go on, so on and so forth. If we take the eye here, 69 plus 13, that is 82, 82 plus 11 is 93. So you can see a lot of the numbers here I have are the same. But let's now that we know what all these terms mean and what the skill means in general, let's take a look at a chart here, and this will help explain things a lot more. This is in my Discord server as well, guys. So if you are interested and need more help on this, my Discord server is a plethora of wisdom and advice for many different things in the game, including skills. This is just one example, so go ahead and click the description box down below to join my Discord server if you do need help with training. But as we are talking about 5-tool player here, let's look at this chart. So this is a chart of 5-tool player levels. Right now it's just level 7 and level 8. Just ignore that for now. We'll get to that in a second. But let's take a look at the left side of this first and foremost. I'm actually going to full screen this so it's easier to look at. So we have here lowest stat total after train. Base, which is a base stat, plus the GI, plus the grade increase, and plus the development. So as we looked at that Adam Frazier card, we saw that a lot of those categories, the contact, the power, and the eye, all added up to 93. So we have a chart here with different numbers. You can see 79 through 82, 89, 90 to 92, 85, 86, 87, 88. These are totals that you can look at to find out what amount of bonus points your card will get to each stat if they have an added amount of any of these numbers listed on the left side. So for Adam Frazier, let's just go back to Adam Frazier, for example. If we continue on adding, so his contact was 73, or sorry, his contact was 93, his power added up to a total of 93, his eye added up to 93. What does his speed add up to? 65 plus 11 is 76, 76 plus 17, oh, big math, 76 plus 17 is 93 as well. So these all add up to 93. Now the final one, fielding, 76 base stat, plus 17. 76 plus 17 is 93 actually. And if you add plus 9, 93 plus 9 is 102. So this is the only different stat. That doesn't make a difference though. Now that we know what the totals are, his contact was 93, his power is 93, his eye adds up to 93, speed is 93, fielding is 102. Let's take a look at that chart again. So now that we know the total addition of each individual basic stat, based on the description of the 5-tool player's skill, it says it increases all stats in proportion to the skill level based on the stat with the lowest sum. So in this card, for example, the base stat with the lowest sum is either contact, power, eye, or speed. It's all of them because they're all at 93. The highest is fielding because it's at 102 total. So the bonus will apply based on the lowest base stats sum of development, basic stat, grade increase. I hope this is making sense. It's hard to explain in words, but I hope this is getting across to you guys. So Adam Frazier here, across contact, power, eye, and speed, 93 is the lowest additive. When we look at the chart, we can find where is 93 on this chart. Okay, there's a 93 to 94 range. And now if we look over to the right side, we can see 11 and 13. What do level 7 and level 8 mean? That is indicating the level of the 5-tool skill. So going back to Adam Frazier, right now I have his 5-tool skill at level 6. So now we know once I get Adam Frazier and his 5-tool skill to level 7, because his lowest additive stat adds up to 93, which is his contact, power, speed, and eye, I can get plus 11 added to all individual stats. I can't get plus 16, which is the bonus for 102, even though fielding was at 102, because all my other stats don't reach 102 with the base stat plus the GI plus the development. I won't be able to get that bonus. It applies to the lowest additive base stat, which is 93. There will be better examples here as we go along, but Adam Frazier is the base example. I'm going to give a great example, a good example, a catcher example, and a really bad example for you guys. But I hope this is making sense. Once we get Adam Frazier's skill to level 7, the 5-tool skill, I can get plus 11 to every single stat because 93 is the lowest additive of any of his base stats. And if I can get the skill to level 8 when I finish special training him, I can get plus 13 as a max. And you guys can look through the chart. It applies to different development, GI plus base. If Adam Frazier had, say, hypothetically 105 as the lowest on any of his base stats and everything else was above or equal to, I could get plus 16 when 5-tool player is at level 7 or plus 18 when 5-tool player is at level 8. I'm hoping this is making sense to you all. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below and we'll go through them. But to clarify even more, let's move on to a couple of examples. My first example I'm going to start off is with a great example of a 5-tool player train. And we're going to look at Starling Marte right here. He is a prime. He is a Pioneer 5-tool spray hitter skill set. 5-tool player is at level 8. So let's figure out what bonus Starling Marte gets. If I look at his stats, let's apply the same strategy that we used on Adam Frazier, or the same adding strategy to Starling Marte. So we see that his contact has a base stat of 75, it has a grade increase of plus 21, and then a development of 8. If we add 75 plus 21, that is 96. We add 96 plus 8, that is 104. All right, let's go to the power now. He has 71 base power, 71 plus 17. That's going to be 88. And then 88 plus 16, that's a high number. It's way over 100. I'm just going to say that right off the bat and not even worry about it. All right, now we have I, which is the lowest base stat. 66 plus 14, that's 90. 90 plus 18, that's 108. So, or sorry, my adding is off. 66 plus 14 is 80. 80 plus 18 is 98. Almost got my math wrong there. 73 speed now. 73 plus 19, that is 92. 92 plus 8 is 100. All right, and finally we have fielding. 72 plus 19, that's 71. 71 plus 7, or 91. Oh my goodness. Forgive me, guys, if I'm saying these things wrong. 72 plus 19 is 91. 91 plus 7 is 98. So, out of all the totals, 98 is the lowest additive across all the base stats. And as you can see, I trained him for high I because his lowest base stat needed more to get a higher bonus. 66 plus 14 plus 18 is 98. 72 plus 19 plus 7 is also 98. So because those two are the lowest base stats and the lowest grade increases and the lowest development points, they all add up to 98. His bonus is 98. And if we look at the chart, we can see that a 98 bonus will get us plus 13 to all stats on level 7 and plus 15 to all stats on level 8. All right, this is the last time I'm going to go through adding every single stat individually, but this Marte here is my great example because he is on the higher end. It is definitely harder to get a bigger 5-tool player bonus on cards that are 71 to 70 base overall. Those cards are in the okay range when it comes to training for 5-tool player, as well as 69 base. It's more on the cutoff if you get below the 60 base range on cards, because it gets harder and harder to distribute points across all to get a higher bonus. The minimum bonus you can get... Oh, I just closed the image. I gotta pull it up again. Sorry, guys. The closest you can get... Let me zoom in again. The lowest bonus you can get, I should say, is 79. Plus 7 to all stats, which is something you don't want to get. I'm going to show you a bad example. I would minimally, personally, get a 90 bonus. If you can't get anything above a 90 bonus or above, if you can get 89, 88, I wouldn't even bother with 5-tool player, especially if the card is a low base overall card. So this Marte is a great example. He gets a 98 bonus. I was able to train him pretty easily for high speed. I also got power high, and then I got his base stats are basically all lined up pretty well. This is why when you hear people say, hey, his base stats look really good for 5-tool player, this is a good example. All of his base stats besides I are above 70. 66 base I is the lowest, and that's not a problem at all if you can train it for high development at 18 like I did with this Starling Marte. So, and I have 5-tool player at level 8 for him, so he is a great example of 5-tool player. Now, moving on to my second example, I have Jay Bell, who is my newest team sig. So for him, I used him as a good example because on this card, he gets a 93 bonus. Now, if you add up all his stats, you will find that the lowest additive is 93, and I did have to use some base stat adjusting for his trainer, and so that's why some base stats got moved from fielding to speed. In certain situations, you may have to use base stat adjustments to get a better bonus. For a hypothetical example with this card, if I were to take away from fielding, which is the highest base stat at 79, and give more to power, which is 66 base, that could help me when I train for the bonus. And as you guys can see with this card, I did much like I did Marte, train the lowest base stat as high as possible to equal all the other base stats and get the highest bonus possible. I could have definitely gone for higher. You can get some crazy trains, which I'll show later in this video as we move along. But this 93 bonus is good. 93 to 94 and 95 range is usually where you want to be for most cards. 90 is the cutoff for me personally. Other people may have a 93 cutoff, a 95 cutoff. Personally, if you can get above 90, I'm satisfied with that. But in certain cases, it's probably not best to do. With this card though, I was able to get a 93 bonus, and he has 5-tool player at level 8 with a good skill set to accompany it. So J-Bell here is a good example, simply because I didn't get enough points to go over 95. Anything above 95 is great. A lot of cards are hard to train. He's a 72 base overall, so he is a bit higher than Marte, but his stat distribution did offset his grade increase. With your grade increase, you're going to get different points to different categories based on the difference between each stat. It's a little harder to explain, but as you guys can see, because fielding is the highest base stat, it gets the most grade increase points, and because contact is the second highest, it gets the second most grade increased points. So yeah, I do have to keep track of that when you are training for 5-tool player on any given card. But here is J Bell. He is a good example of your general what you would typically want for a 5-tool if you're settling for 5-tool at its minimum example. Now, getting into the catcher example, I'm going to say it straight off the bat, this is not the best catcher example that someone can have for a 5-tool player train. For catchers, the ideal is just training for high fielding. Any catcher is just looking for fielding, but if you can get 5-tool player as a skill on a catcher card, try to go for it and get the highest bonus possible. With my Manny Sanguian here, you can see that I train for high speed because his base speed is at 62. That is pretty low, so it's very, very sketchy, I'd say, to train for 5-tool player if any of the card's basic stats is below 65. 65 I would say is the cutoff, but because this is my catcher card and I want to get as much fielding, I want to get the most 5-tool player bonus that I can, and with him, the 5-tool player bonus, if you add up all the points, the lowest additive is 91, so I will be getting a 91 bonus, which would give him plus 12 to all stats at level 8, because it's in the 90 to 92 range of this chart. So with that in mind, looking at all these, my fielding probably isn't as high as it could be. I did base stat adjust for more fielding just to get that extra fielding, but with catchers, you can honestly just train straight for fielding and get any bonus that you want. It could honestly not get a high bonus at all. Catchers are the only exception that you could argue not getting a 79 bonus at least to get the bonus. You're most likely going to hit it anyway if you train a card wherever, especially if it's a SIG with a high overall, but you do not want, on a catcher card, it's the only case scenario where you can say you don't really need to get a bonus on it, or a high bonus at least. For me, I was fortunate enough to get a 91 bonus with the train and get a few special training points to go to fielding, most of the special training points to go to fielding and some to the hitting stats. But this is a catcher example here. I trained high for speed because it was the lowest base stat. I trained second fielding because it is the second lowest, or yeah, it was the second lowest base stat until I base stat adjusted it. And then I got contact or power as the third lowest base stat at 66, trained for 12, which helps me out a little bit as well. If you guys, again, have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. I maxed out 5-tool player at level 8. I could max out laser beam at level 8 as well, but I did want to get that extra added bonus points for my fielding with that plus 12 from the 91 bonus, which you guys can see on this chart here. All right, and my bad example. This is going to be the last example of the video. I have John Vanderwall here. Now, there are some cards that are oriented for a 5-tool player, like I mentioned. High base overall cards that are in the 70 to 73 range are ideal for 5-tool player, but certain cards that have wonky stat differences, like this card here, are not ideal. What do I mean by wonky stat differences? If you look at his base stats, you can see that his power, contact, and eye are all above 75, besides the contact because I base stat adjusted it, but it was above 75. And then you look at the fielding. The fielding is in the 50s. If a card has a stat in the 50s, you more than likely, 99.9% of the time, you should not train this card for 5-tool. But what did I do with this card? This is my bad example card. I decided to train him for it. And surprisingly, if you add up all the stats on this card, I got a 90 bonus. It's not ideal because 90 is the cutoff. He does get plus 12 to all stats because I have 5-tool player on him at level 8. But he's losing a lot more because his contact and or power and I are so low. I only got 3 to each of them on the train, and right now they sit at only 136 and 127. They're much lower than every other stat. They do get added points because of the 5-tool bonus, but with this card, I was probably better off not training him for 5-tool. I decided to have some fun and do it anyway. I fortunately used a development redistribution ticket and got a 90 bonus. It was a miracle, to be honest. This rarely ever happens. I have a perfect grade increase on him as well, which helps a lot. But if you have a card like this, guys, do not follow my example here and train for 5-tool player. You're most likely not getting this lucky. In fact, I had to base stat adjust to fielding in order to get that bonus. If I don't have that +3 to the fielding, I don't get the bonus. So yeah, don't roll the dice this much. I was able to get it within a short period of time, and he's a good first baseman for me. I'm eventually, though, going to have to retrain him and reskill him because in the long haul, this is not something you want as an end game team. He's probably going to be better off with hard hitter, contact master, or something that's better suited as a legend skill for his base stats and for his ideal grade increase and all of that other stuff. But that is my bad example. He does get a 90 bonus though, so it's not the worst thing in the world. At the same time though, you do not want to take big risks like this in trying to train for a card that has a very low base stat, like below a 50. And it doesn't just have to be fielding. It can be eye, it can be speed. It's not common that it's eye or contact or power, but usually it's fielding or speed that are low and in the 50s for some cards. You're better off not training for 5-tool on those cards. And just so I mentioned this, there are cards such as Supremes which are very well oriented towards 5-tool player. I don't have any Supremes to show as an example, but there are cards like Ricky Henderson, Joe Morgan, and others that have high base stats that can reach the upper levels of 100 base stat plus GI plus development. And those cards are definitely perfect candidates for 5-tool. I don't have any perfect examples here. I have a great example. I showed you a good example, my catcher example, and a bad example, but there are some cards out there that do have high base stats like Supremes that are amazing or close to perfect examples of 5-tools. So I hope I did this justice, guys. If you do have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And the last thing before I end this video, I do have a resource that may help you guys with 5-tool. If you join my Discord server, in the advice tab, pinned in the advice tab, there is a 5-tool player calculator that I have, and I may as well just link this in the description box. I may link it in the comment section. If you guys are interested in using this to help you train for 5-tool, I had to use this when I first found out what 5-tool player was. It has helped me massively. And if you guys want to use it, you can as well. Just go to the comment section down below. I should have it linked. Or if you want to join my Discord server, do that as well to get this 5-tool player calculator to use. And it's pretty self-explanatory. It'll show you what to do, and it can help you a lot when training your card for the best 5-tool player train or the most optimal 5-tool player train. But that's going to be it for me. Those are my examples, guys. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Feel free to ask any questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But with that being said and done, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. God bless you all. Jesus loves you guys, and he died for your sins. If you believe in Jesus Christ, guys, and put your faith in him, he'll save you. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. Have a great one, and I'll see you all in the next video.